Welcome to Passion of the Soul with me, Ellena Lieberman, the new power hour for your consciousness. This is the space where you awaken to your authentic potential, the truth of who you really are. Here, we open the mind and heart and tune into the essence of the soul, the force that fuels your entire being and invites miracles into your life. Each episode inspires you to respond to the layers of potential within you and bring your unique legacy into the world. As you listen and watch, you'll discover that you can be the answer to your own quest. Get ready to tune into your innermost voice and live in alignment with your highest truth. Passion of the Soul starts now. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Ellena Lieberman, and you are listening to Passion of the Soul on Transformation Talk Radio. Stay with us this hour and let us help you experience the new power hour of your consciousness every first and third Thursday of the month, 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. We will bring you some of the most brilliant artists, visionaries, healers, and authors who have walked miraculous journeys inspiring you. Tonight, we are going to look into exploring the infinity of the Akashic records. Unlock the door to the soul's truth and communicate with the divine, authentic self. Return to the part within that had always endured, waited, and guided even in the years when you turned away. Can there be an experience of the eternal self that is owned with deep reverence, humility, and sacred responsibility? Is there a deeply encoded inner dimension that also extends to a place without end, where there are no things? Our guest tonight is Rosemarie Swanson, spiritual coach, healer, public speaker, and co-owner of Akashic Records Consultants International, LLC, and the mantle holder of the Akashic Records. Rosemarie has written a new book, Exploring the Infinity of the Akashic Records, with channeled messages from Mary Magdalene. Rosemarie Swanson reveals how she walked a long road from pain to purpose, from silence to divine communication. Her work carries the living pulse of the Akashic Records, compassion, precision, and expansion. Every word seems to hum with the intelligence of love itself, reminding us that the wisdom is not learned, but remembered. Hello, Rosemarie.
Hello, Ellena. Thank you so much for having me here today. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's really wonderful and thrilling to have you here with us. You know, Rosemarie, your life certainly fits the miraculous journey that we talk about to inspire all of us. So would you please share how, as a seeker, you overcame tremendous challenges and entered into a conscious knowing of your inner divine connection and high levels of compassion. Rosemarie, what was your life journey?
Thank you, Ellena. My life journey started as being severely abused, both emotionally and physically in my family dynamics. I did begin receiving visits from the angel pre-elementary school age, where they gave me premonitions of what might take place. However, I made the mistake of telling an adult that, and literally was told they would lock me up and put me in a padded cell. So I shut that channel off for many years. And because of the abuse, I learned to live my life as a victim. I didn't know any better. I had no one as a role model that could show me any different. And then in 1987, I had an auto accident, which was a major turning point in my life, and had a near-death experience when I was told by a very strong masculine voice, you have a choice. You can either live or you can leave. It doesn't matter which, but you have to choose. And because I had children that was still high school age, I chose to stay. And the voice said, then you must make changes in your life. I didn't know what that meant at the time, and it wasn't until many months later, because I ended up with a broken neck from the accident. It wasn't until many months later that I began to remember the voice and remember what was said. And that began my seeking journey in trying to discover what was wrong with me, what was missing. I just was not complete. Um, Everything in my life was a disaster. So I began my journey taking every class, every spiritual class that I could find. I learned Silva. Back then it was called Silva Mind Control. It's not any longer. It's Silva. I learned hypnotherapy. I learned angel communication, just many different things. But I really didn't find my home until I came into the Akashic Records. And just to let the community know, Ellena was my original teacher in the records.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want to make a comment about your book, Rosemarie, that it truly embodies the high levels of unconditional love that we experience when we are within the Akashic Records. You really embody it when we move through it. And people don't always understand that it is the inner feeling of unconditional love that really allows us to feel it in our heart. And I really cannot imagine any other book that isn't a real scientific style, like Erwin Laszlo, who wrote about the Akashic field. That's something else. But you embody in that book the depth of love that is the interior. It is not easy to communicate that. Did you just want to comment on that for a second?
Well, it has taken me many, many years to get where I'm at today. It has been a very long, challenging, with lots of calls.
That's thunder and lightning going on in the
Oh,
back.
okay. But it was a long journey. It was a trying journey. But I experienced a lot, and I learned from everything that I tried. And there were many things, a long list of classes that I've taken. And it's been a process. It's just been a simple process. It is around utilizing this divine wisdom to find out what was really going on inside of myself. Why did I feel like I was a disaster and a victim?
Yeah.
Why did I feel like my life never worked right? And it's through the divine wisdom that I received that I started receiving my own answers and received the ability and the knowledge of what to do to clear all of that. And it was through that clearing process that I discovered who I really am, my authentic self, and began to live through that. Not to say there still aren't challenges that I face, and I'm human. Sometimes I handle it better than other times, but it has put me in a different position in my life. My perspective of how I look at things are very different. I look at things from what I call a higher level. I look at them from the heart, from that beautiful unconditional love space that we're in when we're in the Akashic records. And I'm beginning to live my life through just that. And the rest simply falls away after a certain point.
Well, we're going to take a little break right now, Rosemarie, and then we'll go back to this part of the discussion because there's so much information around it. So before we take the break, I want everyone to get Rosemarie's information. So Rosemarie, could you please give us your information now for our listeners?
Yes, my website is rosemarieswanson.com. My email address is rosemarie@rosemarieswanson.com. And my phone number is 843-991-0831.
Thank you. And I am Ellena Lieberman, your host. For requests for my consultations, go to www.dynamicmanifestation.com/connect. And if you're a first-time client listening to the show, you can receive $50 off from your first hour of consultation. You are listening to Passion of the Soul with Ellena Lieberman. And when we come back, we will be discussing more about exploring the infinity of the Akashic records. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Looking for inspiration that awakens your soul? Join me, Ellena, on Passion of the Soul, every first and third Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, on Transformation Talk Radio. I interview brilliant creators, artists, healers, and visionaries. Visit my website, dynamicmanifestation.com. Passion of the Soul, where your truth comes alive.
If you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or in grief, I'm here to help. I'm Faye Lau, intuitive healer and founder of Faye Inspired Healing. Through soul-guided sessions, I help you reconnect with your body's wisdom and inner truth. Whether you're healing from loss, letting go of pain, or rising into elevated energies, my work combines energy clearing, grief support, and spiritual coaching. Schedule a session or learn more at fayeinspiredhealing.com.
There is more to life than simply surviving or even thriving. There's flourishing. High performance and quantum success coach Beth Larson helps you calibrate and elevate your life. Beth specializes in working with women who want more from their life, more energy, joy, passion, connection, and more meaning. As your coach, she will help you get clear about your life, prioritize what's important, and become a master of your energy. Visit BethLarsonCoaching.com.
You ever feel it? That whisper just beneath the surface, a deeper part of you ready to rise? At Aligned Energy, we don't just inspire change, we embody transformation. This is where high-performing women come home to themselves, where the masks fall away and the real you steps forward, powerful, radiant, and fully alive. This is Manon, energy alchemist, transformation coach, and best-selling author, guiding women leaders from burnout to purpose. Together we will reconnect with your innate wisdom to clear energetic blocks and activate your eros and life force, awakening the sensual, sovereign self within. For the wild-hearted, for the ones ready to get clear, stop performing and start becoming. This is your invitation to rise and step into your power, purpose, and possibility. Visit AlignedEnergyHealing.com to book your exploratory call or session today.
We're back on Passion of the Soul with Ellena Lieberman. My guest tonight is Rose Marie Swanson, who is talking about her book, Exploring the Infinity of the Akashic Records. But once again, Rose Marie, I want everyone to know how to contact you. Could you please give your information again?
Absolutely. My website is rosemarieswanson.com. My email is rosemarie@rosemarieswanson.com. And my phone number is 843-991-0831.
Rose Marie, over the years, you've received a lot of judgment from the outside. And how do you handle that? Because especially from your book, when you're really exposing your inner feelings, what we realize is, especially in this kind of journey that you've taken, it looks one way to the outsider, but the interior is really different. And I'm going to give an example, but go ahead and explain what goes on with that. What do you do?
Well, one of the hardest lessons I learned, Ellena, was not to take things personally. And that did not come easy at first, because the judgments started with my own mother, who would love to tell people what a fake I am, to even people in the organization that felt like I had no right being in the position that I am, or the most typical thing, I guess because I'm a woman and because I'm a mother, is they would overlay their own issues of their mother onto me. Mm-hmm. And that actually happened with one student that created conflict for many, many years. So you just learn not to take it personally. And the records equated to me as this: it's like looking at a lake with the sun shining. When you first look at it, the only thing you see is a reflection of the sunlight on the surface. But if you look below that, that's when you begin to see what's really going on and what's really beautiful. So I've learned to begin to look through and see what's behind what's being said, instead of looking at what's being said. And that has helped me tremendously.
That's really very important. And moving into really what the experience is in the depth of attunement to the Akashic Records, let me just ask you something. How would you define the Akashic Records today as opposed to when we started?
Yes.
And how can the students and seekers strengthen the depth and purity of their connection?
Okay. For me, my experience is primarily energetically, but if I want to look at what it looks like a dazzling thread that's sparkling of every color of light you can ever imagine. And it's interconnected into an individual's DNA. And then it goes out from there out into creation, into source. And so there is a energetic dynamic for me. When I open the records, I literally feel myself being embraced and infused with unconditional love. And again, it's like coming home. It's like nothing else I've ever experienced. I just know that I'm safe, I'm secure, I'm going to be taken care of, and everything's going to be all right no matter what.
Well, that's very profound. And it's important for people to hear that so they know what the inside feels like, no matter what it looks like to them. So let's look at the idea that the Akashic Records are not just a place that you visit. You know how many people, you fly up to a book or something like that.
Right.
They're a state of consciousness we enter align with, and there is a divine remembrance we awaken, and it has a fluid perspective that you talk about in your book. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, in the beginning, it's easier for the human mind to think of it being outside of ourselves. So we think of the Akashic records as a library of books or ancient scrolls, or everybody has their little bit of different take on it. But it's very different from me now. It is more experiential, and it is about sequencing your brainwave frequencies in order to move into alignment with the frequency of the records. That's the key secret. And that's what our sacred prayer offers people, is the ability to do that automatically.
Yes, it is automatic. People often don't realize it because we don't go up to an oracle and a palace, go up the stairs. We don't do that. There's a depth to it, which our teacher, Mary Parker, who was the original teacher, used to say, you're going home. You can go home right now. And you identified that right from the beginning here this evening. Now, I want to talk about something else, and I am one of the people who has challenged this. So even though I was your teacher with Ronnie Reisler in the beginning, and I challenged it, I want to tell you that I will say a few words about it, but after reading your book, because you went so deep from within, bridging out to the outside, I understood, which is I was one of the challengers, and Mary used to talk about it, that we did not use the word that a being would be channeled. Because originally channeling meant the energy system, we call it matrix today, you leave and something else comes into you. That was not our idea of integration at all. So right. First of all, I'd like you to identify your experience, which started as a little girl for you, when you connected to this magnificent consciousness, this being that God gave you to help you, Mary Magdalene. So go ahead and talk a little bit about that inner experience.
Okay. Well, as you said, I learned the angels actually visually came to me and spoke to me as a child. So that was my first experience. I didn't understand it. It just was something that automatically happened. I do hypnotherapy work. And when I would have a client really have some deep inner trauma, I would hear, it was like a whisper in my ear. And I just knew, I didn't question it. I knew it was right. And my experience was when I repeated verbatim what that whisper was to my client, I saw absolute miracles take place. I saw a client healing lifetime traumas. So I knew there was something very profound about it. And as my experience went on, I learned to ask, who am I talking to? And I learned to be able to differentiate the energetics of who I'm speaking to. So that's how I know. Angels feel a very specific way to me. They're very soft, they're very gentle. There's different ascended masters, and they each have their own frequency. Kuan Yin feels a certain way. El Moré feels a certain way. Mary Magdalene actually feels as if a higher part of me is talking to me, is the feeling I have, because I'm so interconnected to her. And I have to say I'm very honored, and I'm extremely humbled that she came to me during a meditation and said she wanted to assist in the writing of this book, because I resisted writing this book for many years.
Well, I'm glad you wrote the book so people would be able to see very deeply into the quality and the essence of who you are, and also realize the depth of the Akashic Record experience. I want to point out that there is a great vastness to working in the Akashic Records. And those consciousnesses, which we call the masters, teachers, and loved ones, and lords of the Akashic Records, can also be described as weaves of the tapestry that are a much higher frequency than we are. So for some souls, we talk only about the higher levels of consciousness. And for other souls, we speak differently. So it's very important that we distinguish that we will be led to the communication with great love for each and every person who aspires to work in the Akashic Records. So it's very important to get the interior, the feeling of what is going on, because it has such high quality and refined frequency. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to take a little break right now. I'm Ellena Lieberman, and you are listening to Passion of the Soul. When we come back, Rosemarie Swanson will share her most advanced healing modality, getting outstanding results, Waters of Illumination. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Looking for inspiration that awakens your soul? Join me, Ellena, on Passion of the Soul, every first and third Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, on Transformation Talk Radio. I interview brilliant creators, artists, healers, and visionaries. Visit my website, dynamicmanifestation.com. Passion of the Soul, where your truth comes alive.
If you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or in grief, I'm here to help. I'm Fei Lao, intuitive healer and founder of Fei Inspired Healing. Through soul-guided sessions, I help you reconnect with your body's wisdom and inner truth. Whether you're healing from loss, letting go of pain, or rising into elevated energies, my work combines energy clearing, grief support, and spiritual coaching. Schedule a session or learn more at feiinspiredhealing.com.
There is more to life than simply surviving or even thriving. There's flourishing. High performance and quantum success coach Beth Larson helps you calibrate and elevate your life. Beth specializes in working with women who want more from their life, more energy, joy, passion, connection, and more meaning. As your coach, she will help you get clear about your life, prioritize what's important, and become a master of your energy. Visit BethLarsonCoaching.com.
You ever feel it? That whisper just beneath the surface? A deeper part of you ready to rise? At Aligned Energy, we don't just inspire change, we embody transformation. This is where high-performing women come home to themselves, where the masks fall away and the real you steps forward, powerful, radiant, and fully alive. This is Manon, energy alchemist, transformation coach, and best-selling author, guiding women leaders from burnout to purpose. Together we will reconnect with your innate wisdom to clear energetic blocks and activate your eros and life force, awakening the sensual, sovereign self within. For the wild-hearted, for the ones ready to get clear, stop performing and start becoming. This is your invitation to rise and step into your power, purpose, and possibility. Visit AlignedEnergyHealing.com to book your exploratory call or session today.
We're back on Passion of the Soul with Ellena Lieberman. I have Rosemary Swanson here, who is about to share her advanced healing technique as our guest. Please share your contact information again, Rosemary, with our listeners.
Yes, my website is rosemaryswanson.com. My email address is rosemary@rosemarieswanson.com. And my phone number is 843-991-0831.
Thank you so much. And before we discuss Waters of Illumination, Rosemary, there is a really wonderful part of your book that I want to emphasize for our listeners. You know, the Akashic records can be applied for everyday living, practically. So that's one thing we want to mention. But in contrast, there are higher realities and frequencies that are intergalactic and in the inner earth. And the ancient ones who walk the interiors, the vibrational matrix within the earth. And there is something called galactic technologies. And I was wondering if you'd go into that a little bit. It was so interesting in your book, Rosemary.
Thank you, Ellena. One of the things that have opened up for me in working in the records is the ability to move beyond this third dimensional reality and open up into some of the other realms. And the galactic realm is certainly one that has come through very strongly for me. A number of months ago, the records came to me and they said that there was a new level of grace that had come into the planet, and that it was a higher vibrational frequency than anything we've ever experienced before. And that night, when I was outside walking my dog, the records told me to look up. And when I looked up at the black sky, it was as if gold flakes was falling like snow. And it almost took me to my knees and made me cry. It was such a beautiful experience. And their answer to my question about what was I looking at was that they wanted me to physically see what this grace was. So that's one experience. But then I also have a very dear friend that is very much into ETs and intergalactic beings of light and stuff. So she would come to me for a consultation and begin to ask me questions about it. And through a couple of months of that, we were actually, through the records, able to connect to a group that she had been asking questions about, and she was wanting to connect to them. And through the records, we were actually able to ask very specific questions of this galactic group and receive information. And so at one point, my friend Betty asked, could we meet them? And they agreed to meet us. So her and her husband owned a farm out in the country. So they agreed to meet us out in the country. So we set up the time, and she and I went out there. Her husband was on a hunting trip, so nobody was there but us. And we saw the mothership in the sky. And we saw what appeared to be a red pod move out from the mothership and circled around us a couple of times. And then it landed out in the field in front of her home. And beings came out of the pod and actually spoke with us. Their energy frequency was so high and they were so advanced, they could only get a certain distance of closeness to us, because it would just literally, we were sitting on our steps and literally would push us backwards. But we were able to communicate with them, and they wanted us to know that they communicated with us because of our curiosity, because of the innocence of that curiosity. So we were able to ask them specific questions about where they came from, what they did, what was it we could do to be of service to them. And it was quite a beautiful experience.
Well, that sounds wonderful. And it's interesting where the records lead you. We had some experiences like that in Argentina area as well that we'll bring out on another show, because I want everyone to hear about the waters of illumination, your healing modality. So could you please share what that's about and what the experience is of that?
Absolutely. I learned about a specific quantum technique from a friend of mine who sent me a link and said, you need to watch this. And I fell in love with a young woman. I thought her work was very powerful. My experience was very powerful. So I reached out to her and I connected with her. And I personally worked one-on-one with her over a period of several months. And she agreed to train me at a one-on-one situation. And I received probably 18 or 20 private sessions of clearings from her in order for my body to be able to hold the vibrational frequency in order to do the sessions. And one of the things, and it's interesting because this all comes back to some of the very beginning things I learned, and that was from Silva, and that's about being in that alpha brainwave state. You know, we live daily in the beta, our mind's quick, you know, it needs to be to do all the things when we multitask and stuff like that. But when you slow your brainwave frequency down, it gives you the ability to access the higher realms. It gives you the ability to bring your own intuition in, your own spiritual gifts in. So that was part for me as I really began honing my skills of moving into alpha and opening myself up, opening my ability for inner vision, which some of it I learned remote viewing many years ago. So that plays into some of it because I have the capability of, even if I'm on the phone with somebody and I can move into that alpha state and I can see energetically what's going on with the person. So, you know, we learn really early on specific patterns and way of being in our life. We take on the beliefs and fears of our parents, our family, society. And what most people don't realize is this literally creates a web work of filters around your brain. And that filter only will allow in what agrees with that belief, fear, or trauma. And it kicks most of everything out, or it works to, if something gets in, it works to discredit it. And it filters to where whatever's negative going on with you just continues being overlaid and getting more and more powerful. And through this technique, I'm able to go in and I'm able to see where the person is holding the bulk of the negativity concerning whatever they're looking at. So if it's a pattern that they're holding that creates them being a victim, I can scan their energy field and I can see exactly where they're holding that. It may be in the brain, it may be in the heart, it may be in the solar plex. But then I'm able to use specific techniques to go in and begin to clear that out permanently. And it doesn't necessarily happen all in one session. Sometimes it will take more than one session. But I've had people have pretty astonishing situations occur after the clearing. I had one client that came to me that was satanically abused as a child. And she came to me and she says, I've tried everything. Nothing works. I've tried talk therapy. I've tried hypnosis. I've tried, and she just listed all this stuff. And she says, you're my last resort.
Oh.
And I did a session with her, and she agreed to 3 sessions. I did a session with her. And when she came back for the second one, she started crying. And she said, "You let me out of my prison."
Oh, what an amazing.
I know, after years of trying everything else. And the only thing the client has to do is be willing to allow. That's
Yes.
it. Spirit does the work through me.
Do some people feel that this is a cure? Do they use the term cure or a healing? I mean, how does it apply? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical type, so I don't say that I cure people of whatever illness is going on. What I look at is what creates that illness.
Yes.
Behind it, because it's even being medically proven that there are certain things that create cancers and stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I have a cancer patient that's in chemo right now. And when I saw her last week, and I've seen her, I think 4 or 5 times now, she told me that the cancer had been in her spine and no longer was there. It was still in her body, but it was no longer in the spine. So did I do that? Did the sessions do that? I don't know. I can't say. Because again, that's not my responsibility. My responsibility is to look at what's behind and clear that. And the body knows how to heal itself. I just go in and assist in removing that which blocks the body from doing its own work. That's all.
Well, that's wonderful. We're going to take a little break right now. This is Ellena Lieberman with Passion of the Soul. We're going to take the break, and when we return, Rosemarie Swanson will lead us in a blessed healing meditation. Looking for inspiration that awakens your soul? Join me, Ellena, on Passion of the Soul, every first and third Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, on Transformation Talk Radio. I interview brilliant creators, artists, healers, and visionaries. Visit my website, dynamicmanifestation.com. Passion of the Soul, where your truth comes alive.
Feeling exhausted as a parent? I would love to help you with a new vision for yourself that is focused on intentional wellness parenting. My name is Aurelie Cormier, and I have over 40 years experience with complex cancer patients. I offer consultations, coaching, and educational programs for parents who want to boost their health and reduce risk of disease, especially cancer. For more information, go to aureliecormier.com.
Are you ready to listen to your soul? Discover the power of pausing and turning in on Our Soul Whisper with Kathy Belmont and Dr. Pat. This sacred show offers a safe space for self-discovery, healing, and soulful transformation. Let your inner voice rise, be heard, and gently guided into expression. Tune in every first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Subscribe now so you never miss the whisper meant just for you. Visit OurSoulWhisper.com.
Looking for more love, joy, and purpose in your life? Lisa Eve is here to guide you. Through intuitive support, healing, and soulful travel, she empowers you to embrace self-love as the key to happiness. Explore her book, The Love Channel, Finding Your Way to Happiness, available on Amazon. And find daily inspiration at thehappychannel.com. Start living your most radiant, joy-filled life today.
Living a life by design. It's the journey back to you and living 365 days of purpose with host Esther Graham. Tune in every second and fourth Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific. Discover that what is possible is already in you. God designed a phenomenal life for you. At Living a Life by Design, Esther helps you ignite the energy behind your personal journey. For more information, visit fddwomen.com.
Welcome back. I'm Ellena Lieberman with Passion of the Soul with our guest, Rose Marie Swanson. If you'd like to contact me for my special listener's discount of $50 for the first hour of an Akashic record consultation, that's $50 off, please go to www.dynamicmanifestation.com/connect. So now we are going to have Rose Marie Swanson do a beautiful, brief healing meditation filled with unconditional love and illumination.
Thank you, Ellena. So I'd like everybody just to take a couple of deep breaths and close your eyes. And just imagine yourself breathing into your physical heart. And as you breathe into your physical heart, it allows the heart to begin to open. And then I want you to take and imagine that heart going deeper and deeper into opening until there's a very special doorway that you can walk through. And this takes you into your sacred heart. And just feel yourself moving into this very beautiful space of love. Nothing else is there, just your love. And several things are coming up for me to ask that they be cleared. Most of it's being held in people in their heart and in their solar plex. But it's patterns and beliefs and fears that keep you separated from your own authenticity. So I'm just going to call in the 0 point frequency and ask it to go into everyone's body. And it's just like a very gentle breeze moving through the body, like a little small whirlwind, moving gently and softly, going into every corner, clinging deeply through the heart and the solar plex. Patterns, fears, and beliefs. I'm going to call in this beautiful rainbow frequency of light. And allow this to come in through the top of your head and move down through the body, all the way out the bottom of the feet, down into the Earth star below your feet. This begins to allow you to disconnect from the illusions and lies and distortions of the third dimensional reality. And as you release it, you're able to move into your higher connections. So I'm going to begin to bring in source frequency, allowing your higher channel to open so that you can receive that beautiful connection with your own higher energies, your own higher self, your soul, whatever you choose to label it. Just take a couple of deep breaths and allow the balance and harmony to come in. Allow any resistance that you're holding to the clearing to be breathed out. As you're filled with this beautiful, unconditional love and grace of the Creator of all that there is, you may place whatever label that you choose to on that. Allow every single cell of the body to be filled and washed clean with that. And then we ask that this energy seal and protect your field as we give thanks for the divine for all of their guidance and help here today. And just taking a couple of deep breaths, you can just very naturally bring yourself back. Namaste. That was just a very short blessing. My sessions, when I do Waters of Illumination, are normally an hour to an hour and a half, where we work on an individual's very specific situation of what's going on and assist them in clearing that out. So thank you, Ellena. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. And now that we're closing, I'd like to close with an appropriate passage actually from my book, The Principles of Dynamic Manifestation as Received Through the Akashic Records. Quietly or with great bravado, our lives are saturated with the dynamic support from the Most High that is completely at one with us and who we are. To accept this grand reality is to realize and experience the most beautiful, empathic, and creative expression of ourselves. Thank you, Rosemarie, for sharing your profound insight and journey with us tonight. Rosemarie, for one last time, could you please give your information?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ellena. My website is rosemarieswanson.com. My email address is rosemarie@rosemarieswanson.com. And my phone number is 843-991-0831. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank you all for tuning in to Passion of the Soul. I had a wonderful time. Please join me the first and third Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern. Next time, April 2nd, our guest will be Wendy Sue Wall, Advanced Teacher of the Akashic Records and Dynamic Healer. Thank you, everyone, and see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you for being with us today. I'm your host, Ellena Lieberman. Be sure to tune in every first and third Thursday night at 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio for more Passion of the Soul, where we connect with brilliant creators, artists, healers, and visionaries who have walked miraculous journeys. Continue the experience at dynamicmanifestation.com. And if today moved you, share the show and like us on social media so others can awaken their authentic potential too. Until next time, listen deeply, trust your innermost wisdom, and live your passion of the soul.